Good morning. We're going to get started in a seated position today. So find yourself in a comfortable upright seated posture, legs folded, sits bones on the floor. Just kind of rock around a couple of times. Make sure that you find those sits bones on the floor. Sometimes you have to move a little to find them really grounded. Find your breath, find your shoulders, invite them down away from the ears. Find your core all the way around and engage everything up. Engage the entire core, not just sucking in the stomach, but really engaging and tightening. And this is the Uddiyana Bandha, which is the core essentially, and it keeps the spine safe throughout our entire practice today. So it'll keep that lift in the low spine, especially keep everything moving and safe and protected. The other bandha or lock or engagement that we would like to maintain throughout our practice is Mula Bandha or the pelvic floor. So engaging the pelvic floor, find that lift, that keeps everything nice and stable. So these are two yoga safety features that I like to talk about before most classes. Keeping the core engaged, keeping the pelvic floor engaged. Even as you're sitting here, try to find those two areas. Bring a few moments awareness to those areas of your body. Continue to invite the shoulders down away from the ears. Try to notice if they're starting to lift up towards your ears. It's almost as if you're bringing the shoulder blades into a V down your back. Find a space that's nice and lifted. Gently tuck the chin, lift the crown of the head to the sky. And allow the knees to fall towards the floor. It's okay if they don't touch the floor, it's totally fine. However, if you feel any tightness or tension or pain or discomfort in the knees, please do put some sort of support underneath it, a pillow, a block, a rolled up blanket, or a rolled up towel. If only one knee really needs a support, please do support both, regardless, even if just one of them needs it. With that lift, with the core engaged, with the pelvic floor engaged, with the chin gently tucked a little bit to open up that C-spine, begin to find your breath. Yoga is about breathing and keeping everything nice and lifted from the ground up also helps with us in terms of breathing. It gives that space, it gives that lift in the body, around the lungs, around the rib cage, in order to really find your breath. Maintaining a closed mouth if you can. Notice the sound of the breath as it rounds from the nostrils into the back of the throat. Try to constrict that area a little bit. That is Ujjayi breath. And that is the breath we're going to try to bring throughout our entire practice today. You want to hear yourself breathe in that area. It's the sound as if you're fogging a mirror, but with your mouth closed. Finding that lift in the spine, begin to gently hinge forward at the hips. Lead with the chest, and again, find where your feet need to go in order to help you maintain your sits bones on the floor. Tilt the pelvis forward and hinge at the hips. If you notice any tightness or tension, please make an adjustment so you don't feel that. Yoga is not about pain. It's not about pushing through physical pain. It's not about tearing anything. It's about finding your edge, moving up to it, and staying there, navigating that space, observing, and then the edge eventually moves. But we don't want to get hurt in the process. Inhale up and switch the cross of the feet. Again, find your sits bones on the floor. Engage the pelvic floor, engage the core before you lean forward, hinge at the hips. Release the neck down. Find your breath, continue to hear that breathing around that corner from the Nostrils into the back of the throat. Doesn't matter how far your hands go forward. It doesn't matter how close you get to the floor with your hinge. It matters that you do it safely. Inhale yourself up. Find the lift. Slight twist. Exhale, hinge over your right knee. Again, lead with the chest. So that right shoulder is going to be behind you a little bit in order to lead with the chest, in order to keep that slight twist. Keep engaging the core, engage the pelvic floor. Nose is in line with the kneecap. Inhale, bring yourself up. Exhale, twist to the other side and hinge again. Again, in order to maintain that twist, keep that left shoulder back. If this other knee wants to pop up, squeeze the glute. We'll bring it down a little bit. Inhale, come up, exhale, hinge forward again. Allow that openness to unfold without forcing. Inhale, come up, release. The lotus or half lotus if you had. Find your feet in front of you and windshield wiper side to side. So in that seated posture we were just in, our hips were externally rotated. And in order to counter that, we windshield wiper in order to bring that internal rotation. So as my top leg is internally rotated, the bottom leg is externally rotated, but that's why we windshield wiper in order to give both of them a chance. Come back to center. Bring the knees down to one side. Bring yourself up into tabletop. Find your alignment. Shoulders stay seated, which means keeping them down away from the ears and bringing the shoulder blades together, very active in the back. So right here, you want to feel that squeeze. Wrists directly under elbows, elbows directly under shoulders with a neutral spine here, knees directly under hips. So find this alignment, find where you need to be. If the wrists are sensitive today, then come up onto fists. Same thing, every joint here is in line. Gaze is down to the floor. Elbows are rotated forward a bit without locking them, so we're not bent. Got kind of that twist in the elbow. Next, inhale. Hinge the hips forward again, so kind of drop them towards the floor. Open the chest and spread the collarbones up. Gaze up. Exhale. Take in the low belly a little bit more. Round spine. Allow the shoulder blades to melt off the side of the body. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. So everything is still engaged. Your core is engaged, pelvic floor is engaged, belly button moving towards spine a little bit more in cat. Everything engaged in cow as well. Nice, slow, long breaths. One more round after this exhale. Breathing now in a neutral spine. Bring the right leg out. Flex the foot. Bring the toes so they're touching the ground. And rock forward and back. Open the fascia on the bottom of the foot. Bring that foot over. Cross the other leg. Open the side body. Really lift the ribs away from the hip as you gaze over your shoulder towards the toes. Everything is still engaged here. Pelvic floor, core. Breathe, keep hearing your breath. Bring the foot back and bring it out to the outside of the elbow. Lift up, squeeze the hamstring here, down and out, in and up. Good. Down and out, in and up. Bring that foot back down, open the knees out to the side, toes come together, sit down into child's pose. Press the hands away from you as you actively press them into the floor. Allow the head to reach towards the floor. Release the shoulders. Keep them soft. Gently press the hands into the earth to bring the hips towards the heels. If this does not feel right, if you need to bring the floor up closer to your head, then put a block or a rolled blanket under your forehead. If your shoulders don't like to have the arms overhead yet today, then bring them down to the side. Palms face up. Still elongate the spine. Maintain that engagement in the pelvic floor and core, even in child's pose, and spread the collarbones. Press into the hands, press into the feet and the knees. Bring the knees back in. Find your alignment in tabletop again. Lift the other leg. Bring the toes down and rock forward and back. Open the sole of the foot. Bring that foot over. Lift the rib cage away from the hip on that side body that's open. Really open that side body. Gaze over the shoulder towards the toes. Breathe. Everything is still engaged from the belly button down. Bring that foot back. Bring the knee out to the outside of that left elbow. Inhale, come up. Press the heel towards the sky. Inhale, knee to the elbow. Exhale to the sky. Last time, inhale. This gets a lot of movement in that hip joint. Bring the knee down. Sit briefly into child's pose. Take a breath. Come right on back up. Switching back to the right foot. Again, find what works for your wrists. We've been on here for a while, so find if you need to come up on fists, come up on fists. Inhale the right leg up. Exhale, sit back. Place it behind the other end, cross. Inhale up. Exhale, sit back and cross. It's kind of like a supported shrimp posture. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And on this last one, place that knee face you on the outside of the other knee. So my right knee is outside my left knee. And sit back into shoelace pose or into cow face, whatever works. Bring the sits bones down to the floor, or you can bring them onto this other foot that's behind and sit up. Find that length. Find that lift from the spine, even in this slightly awkward pose. If there's any tightness or tension in the knees, separate the knees a little bit more. Loosen that grip there. If you need more, begin to bring the other foot out away from the hips. Lift. My left knee is over my right. Taking my right hand, Placing on the outside of the left knee, place the left hand behind, lift a little bit higher, and twist halfway. Exhale, twist a little bit more. Take 3 breaths here. Long, slow breaths. Pelvic floor is engaged. Core is engaged. Slowly unwind. Bring yourself back to kneeling. Release that right leg out. Good. Other side. Inhale, left leg up. Exhale, tuck that left leg behind the right and sit back a little bit. Inhale up. Exhale, tuck and sit in preparation for our next posture. Inhale up. One more. Inhale up. Exhale, tuck. I'll face you again. You don't have to do all this spinning around. I just want to make sure you see what I'm doing. And sit. Nice and slowly down. You're always welcome to put a block, some sort of support under the hips. Always go down slowly. Pay attention to the knees. Lift. Find that core. Lift. Engage the pelvic floor. Lift it. Find what works. Take 2 more breaths here. And place that right hand behind. Bring the left hand outside the right knee. And exhale, turn. Lifting is more important than twisting. Keep the spine safe. That's why we engage that core. Exhale one more time. Twist a little bit further if you can. Meet yourself where you're at today. Find a challenge, but don't force. Slowly unwind. On your next exhale, place the hands down. Bring yourself back to kneeling. Release that back foot. Good. Now we're back in our child's pose. Sit back. Press up. My toes are curled under, so my foot is flexed. Sit up. Open the bottoms of the feet a little bit more, especially if you have to put yourself in shoes, especially heels if you have to deal with that. Bring the hands back down. Keep the toes curled under, widen the knees. Place the hands a little bit further ahead and come into down dog. Find that tilt in the pelvis, so try to bring those hip bones towards the femurs. Walk the dog. Just here for a couple more breaths. Release the neck, look up towards the belly button or towards the nose. Press the hands into the ground, soften the shoulders. Exhale, bring the knees down. Sit back up. Bring yourself to the floor, however you get there. Legs come out in front. Again, find the sits bones on the floor. Do what you have to do to get them there. Keep a nice bend in the knee, as much as you need or as much as you want today. Inhale, again, find that tilt in the pelvis. Lift up through the spine and hinge forward, holding onto the ankles, the toes, the feet, or around the feet. The key here is to try to bring the chest to meet the thighs. And breathe. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Inhale, come up. Place the palms next to you. You can keep the feet out. You can curl the legs in, or you can bend the knees and keep the feet flat on the floor. So we're going to come up into a back bend, and we can do reverse plank like this. We can do reverse tabletop like this. Just make sure to open the chest. Or we can sit in easy pose, lean back, open the chest. If you'd like, you can lift the hips off the floor. Release the neck, but don't let it crunch back too far. Lift through the hips if they're off the floor. Exhale, everyone come back down. Bring the feet out in front of you. Soles of the feet come together. Hold on underneath. Or if you'd like, you can begin to peel the feet so the soles of the feet are facing up. Exhale, hinge at the hips again. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Lead with the collarbones. Inhale, come up. Now to find that internal rotation of the hip, bring your left leg back behind you. So tuck your left foot back towards your hips. Right leg comes in. Find that place where you can release this left hip towards the floor. It might not touch it. Mine isn't, but it feels okay. It feels still supported. So if you need a support, if you need to have this back hip a little more supported, put a support under the opposite hip. So if the left leg is bent back, put the support under the right. If your right leg is bent back, put the support under your left hip. And allow the release. Again, find that lift in the spine by engaging the core. Engage the pelvic floor. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Hands can be anywhere. Hinge forward. Just straight forward. Release the neck. Feel it opening that glute. Allow this hip to continue to lower towards the floor. Essentially, if you notice that there's any effort in maintaining that hip up, release the effort. Inhale, come up. Walk towards the left knee. A little bit of a twist. Exhale, hinge forward here. Inhale. Other side. Release the neck. Inhale up. Very nice. Bring that left leg out to the side. Keep the right leg where it is. Press into the right hand. Lift into gate pose. If this feels okay for you, you can lift the arm up. You can come up on the toe or the heel, or just keep that foot flat down. Exhale, come down, switch sides. Turn the right foot back towards your hip. Try to keep the toes pointed behind you. Left leg tucks in. One side is usually different than the other. This side, my hip it feels more effortful to me. So I really have to focus on allowing that to release down. So from side to side, things are different, and that's okay, and that's expected. So release the expectation that, first of all, everything should be the same. Second of all, everything should touch the floor when you want it to, because that's just not how it happens. Find that lift. Release that hip. Exhale, hinge forward. First we go just straight forward. Release the elbows to the floor if they'll go. Lift the spine, find a lot of length in the spine. In that case, tuck the chin just a little bit to open that C-spine. One more breath. Inhale, come up. Exhale, twist and hinge. This side might be different, like we talked about before, than the other side. Hinging towards that leg might feel very different than hinging towards the other one when it was in the same position on the other side. That's okay. Inhale, come up. Slowly untwist and hinge the other way over this other leg. Release. And inhale up. If one side was tighter, especially with this leg, with the foot tucked back, was tighter or needs a little more attention, then go back to that side. If both sides were equal, then stay in whichever one you like, or come back to that first pose that we were in, Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, with both of your soles touching. I'm going to stay here for 3 more breaths. We're going to maintain this side that needs a little extra tension for 3 more breaths. Lift. Notice if there's any effort and release the effort. Everyone coming back to this side, because I forgot to do gate pose on this side. I'm going to straighten that right leg out. Place the hand next to the leg. Lift up onto the knee. Good. Lift the arm up, straight up. And exhale down. Bring the feet back into cross-legged posture, the one that we started with. Focused a lot on hips today. If you sit a lot during your day, then finding a way to get as much motion in the hips throughout the day as possible, because they can get really tight and everything can really shrink up the hamstrings. The glutes can become deconditioned. You know, it's just the life that we have. We're very, very much a sedentary workforce here. And hopefully this might help a little bit and give you an idea of what you can do in the middle of the day. Move those hips around. Move the femur in the hip joint. Find that rotation. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, hinge forward. Again, notice if this feels any different than when we started. Again, no expectation or judgment. Just notice, observe. Continue to breathe with that Ujjayi breath. Release maybe a little bit more with each exhale. Inhale, come up. One more posture for balancing. Bring the knees together. Scoop in the low belly a little bit more. Knees come to the chest. Hold around the knees underneath. Lift the feet off the floor. Find that balance using the core. If you need more or different, come into Navasana, straighten the legs, arms out to the side. If you still need more, grasp the toes from inside the knees, straighten the legs out wide, and gaze to the sky. Everyone bring the feet back together, bring the feet down to the floor, roll back. Release the feet out long. Arms come down to the side. Release the chest, open the collarbones to the sky. Release the shoulders, kind of tuck the shoulder blades together even as you're at rest. Release the jaw, release the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Gently close the eyes or soften the gaze. Release the Ujjayi breath. You're welcome to maintain the bandhas. You're always welcome to keep those, the core and the pelvic floor engaged. Pelvic floor and core, there are certain times not to engage. For women, if you're pregnant, you don't really want to engage Uddiyana Bandha, the core. And also, if anyone is using the restroom, you really don't need to be engaging the pelvic floor. That's when you need to be releasing it. So on that note, have a wonderful Shavasana. It is at rest that we find growth. And thank you so much for joining me here today. The light in me shines to the light in you. Namaste.